Hello, welcome to Project Review Committee for October 16th, 2024. We're going to go ahead and start today's meeting at 1:34 p.m. I'm going to do roll call here for city staff, starting with myself, Oscar Cepeda, the chairperson for PRC and also the associate planner for the planning division. We're joined by Jeff O'Neill, our city planner. We're also joined by Clayton Dignam, our fire marshal. We're also joined by James Wickersham, our chief building official. We're joined by David Payne, our water utility superintendent. And we're also joined by Javier Sanchez, our engineering director. And that is all for city staff. Now, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open oral communications. This is the opportunity for public members to address the committee on any matter pertaining to project review. Hearing no comments, I'm going to go ahead and close oral communications. For today's agenda, we have one item, which is PRC 2024-030 for the Martin parcel map located at 631 East Kansas Street. Let me go ahead and share my screen here for the proposed preliminary map. So the applicant is proposing a preliminary residential parcel map to divide the existing parcel of 4.77 acres into two lots. Parcel 1 at 169,449 square feet and parcel 2 of 38,750 square feet. The subject site is located within the RS2 zone district, which is our low density residential zone, and also has a general plan land use of low density residential. As far as the proposal preliminary map, the project would require to go through a tentative parcel map process. The tentative parcel map would be required to be prepared by a registered civil engineer or licensed land surveyor. There are fees associated with a tentative parcel map. A tentative parcel map fee is $1,500. There are other fees associated with the tentative map process, which include an environmental fee, which we could make a determination for an exemption. The city staff will prepare that document for $79. There will be a county filing fee for that document of $58, and payment to be made payable to the Tulare County clerk. The approval of a tentative map would be processed through the parcel map committee, which is a public hearing. There will be notices required to be sent out to the adjacent property owners within a 300-foot radius, and also to be published in the newspaper. It will require a minimum 10 days of advance of the hearing to be posted. If the map is approved, it does have a 2-year lifespan unless there's a extension requested by the applicant or any other future legislation. Now, in order to final the parcel map, you would have to submit a final map. And then there are also fees associated with the final map, which is $955. Any future development of the site would be required to comply with our development ordinance, specifically section 201, which is our residential district. And that is basically our comments from planning. Next, we'll move along with our fire department.
As far as the fire department is concerned, we're only would review if you plan on doing development or expanding. Yes.
So the proposal is to build a 1,600 square foot house approximately south of where the previous home is and utilize the existing driveway.
Okay. Yeah, my understanding is the residential dwelling unit there was a demo permit pulled?
Yeah, previously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be just a single family residential home?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But you're gonna put another one on the same parcel?
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing there would be just distances from fire hydrants. Location, yeah.
As long as they meet the minimum setbacks.
Yeah, distances, setbacks, that kind of stuff.
So you're showing the existing parcels as they are right now, right?
Parcel, it is one large parcel, and then the proposal was to subdivide this area, parcel 1 and parcel 2.
Taking the house off the.
For example.
Okay, so you're showing the proposal, okay.
Yeah, correct.
For some reason, I was thinking there was an existing parcel there somewhere where we could just do a lot line adjustment. And there's no provision in state code or I guess state code, yeah, that allows a residence to be built upon a church property. Because apparently there was at one time, that's how the original house was built.
Well, the original house was all existing and we built a church on the property.
Yeah, but there had to be a mechanism to allow that.
Well, it was county back then. So I
Believe
don't
it
know.
or not, there a lot of times there isn't a mechanism. It just ends up happening.
Yeah.
But with the new.
Particularly if it was in the unincorporated area.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, can you go back to your, yeah. So, I know his desire is to take that dividing line and go straight back and not,
Straight down.
yeah, just straight down. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but, he said somebody had told him.
There are minimum standards, as far as the width of the parcel cannot exceed, the length of the newly created lot cannot exceed 2.5 times the width of the parcel. In this case, I think we went with the max of 310 feet based off the width proposal.
Okay.
Again, you could always modify those measurements through the tentative parcel map process. What we'll be evaluating will be our minimum standards.
Okay.
So is it the desire maybe to put it on a second, like further down?
All the way down. I mean, what we always thought is that the church would have one side, ours would be the other side.
Yeah, they just wanted a deeper lot. Right there, it's showing approximately half of what they were anticipating.
I think probably start building because that far off the road is providing fire department access.
Well, they don't want the house to be in the back. They want
No.
the house to be in the front, but they wanted the use.
Oh, the
of the
use
back.
of the bit. Oh,
Yes,
okay. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I was
we just
I was
gotta-
thinking you were trying to create
No.
two separate like living.
No,
Okay.
it would just be, split all the way down. But the house would stay exactly where the old house was at.
But you own both parcels, so you can put the fence wherever you want.
Does the church plan on growing bigger on their side?
We did want to build a third building, But there's plenty of room on our side to do that.
A baseball field in the bottom left corner of the church parcel.
There's plenty of room to build a third building. I mean, we've been saying that for, we've been there 25 years, so.
So Oscar, this may be of use. The property is zoned for single family residential use.
Yeah.
Meaning that SB9 could apply. Meaning that the development standards of the zoning ordinance would not apply.
Okay.
So let's look into that as part of the PRC comments. Let's look into that.
Yeah.
What that wouldn't relieve you of the need to do the parcel map and the final parcel map, but it would remove the public hearing component of it. And it would allow the development standards that Oscar was talking about, in particular, the 2.5 to 1 depth ratio, to not apply. As long as the resulting two lots meet the requirements of the government code. So we'll investigate that, which would remove a little bit of time from the process, plus allow you to configure the lots a little differently.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Well, if that happens, then
We will review that based on when they start proposing where they're going to put structures. Right? We will review what we put that will dictate to us the distances that they need for hydrants and then access. Same thing with the church side. If they decide to put another building back there, reviewing it under today's code, we would have them comply with that. Because they will have similar ownership, if they end up having to put more than one hydrant to go around, they could loop it through the other property or just do it, isn't it? It gives them flexibility. Is what Jeff is saying. It gives them flexibility with what they're proposing right now versus what they want. Potentially an avenue to get what they want instead of what they show.
Can you zoom in on the aerial a little bit? So if the new proposed home was right behind where no, in front of that, in between the trees and that, can't tell if that's the previous structure.
That's the structure right there.
Yeah. So if it was just right behind that, in between that and the trees, and it butted up against the garage,
So we would take it.
that's serviceable from the street, right?
Well, so here's the measurements, just so you know. So I think the fire hydrant is here.
Yes.
So the building would have to be within 400 feet of that hydrant, of the hose would lay, which I'm showing up here, right? And then also from the street, if we took a measurement right here, say we parked the fire truck right here, it needs to be 150 feet to the center of the rear wall. So if we were to measure this one, we would measure here, and the measurement would stop here. So to the center of the rearmost wall is the 150 feet as the hose would lay. Otherwise, you can extend that. Until you're done right, let me show you. You can extend that by making this a dedicated fire lane and maybe putting parking somewhere else. And then this can come up to 150 feet. And then that 150 feet could be measured from the end of that. If this access goes more than 150 feet, that's where you have to put a turnaround in. You see what I'm saying? So you can extend it a little bit and we can play with it. When you get to that phase where you're kind of designing it, if you want to look at it, we can look at it and I'll show you that stuff. But yeah, you can create a little bit of separation there.
And you need 20 feet for the fire lane?
And the fire lane would just be dedicated like it would be in no parking zone. It would just be, you know, you could use it for ingress and egress, but you just couldn't park or store anything on it.
yeah.
Jeff. So for the whole SB9 thing, so that's what I had suggested at first, because I did talk to them in the beginning. And then we weren't sure if that would apply to this property, if they're going to be splitting it for the purpose of a church and a single family residence. Would there have to be a single family residence on the other lot that's created?
So, yeah, because part of the issue with that is that you need to have somebody who is going to live in a house on one of the properties that is created for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
So basically, when I first spoke to, I believe was your
husband.
your husband, yeah, I was saying that he could just go straight down the middle. And then when we talked further, Oscar and I and Rocio, we were thinking that that would work, but you have to have another house. So when you divide it, it has to be one house and another house to do SB9. So if you're not
Well,
going to have a house
there has
on the
to be
other
a house.
property,
There has to be a house on one of the two properties,
Yeah,
Oh,
one
okay.
of the
Yeah.
two.
only on one?
only on one.
Oh,
And there was a house. We just tore it down though.
yeah.
Yeah, does the fact that there was a previous house there,
Well,
So
what he's saying is the house
that-
has to exist on one, what you have.
Under this, that doesn't help you, what,
that house isn't there
because the
anymore?
provision,
House 631?
They demoed it.
We demoed it, yeah. It was
Oh.
gonna cost more to remodel than it was to build a new home. It was a huge house.
So I wonder if pulling the permit and building the new house and then doing this, the SB9 split. Just pull it down,
well,
construction.
it's not really the order of operations that matters. The only, the thing that the thing that we're talking about in particular that Garrett just brought up, or that he was alluding to, is that the SB9 statute says that in order for the city to allow that process, there has to be an applicant, and it doesn't have to be the person that owns the property. It doesn't have to be the person that's subdividing it. It has to be the applicant. Needs to sign and record an affidavit stating that he or she intends to reside on one of the two properties for a period of 3 years or more. So there's some wiggle room in there about order of operations, who the applicant can be, the intention to reside on the property rather than an actual obligation to reside. So there's some different ways to play around with that.
Yeah, the owner intends to occupy it for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Longer than 3 years.
Yeah, then that's perfect. And it doesn't, and the reason I mentioned that the order of operations may not matter is because once the house is built, whether that's before or after, the person has to agree to live it. So
So it doesn't matter whether the house is built first and then the
Yeah, he said-
parcel
Yeah,
map or like,
the one way or another, the affidavit just states that once there's a house there, the person agrees to live in it, intends to live in it for 3 years.
the house doesn't have to be built.
So if the house doesn't get built, if the house gets built tomorrow and the map gets done next year, the house could be resided in right now.
So that he can get 100% financing unless he split the property. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, so you can do the split with that affidavit and then build the house, secure your funding and then build the house.
That was the whole purpose of us doing the split, is because funding is from what, your financial person said we couldn't get 100%
Yeah,
financing.
that's what,
60% of financing said it was the church property still on that lot.
I'm still checking to see if there's some special church financing out there that you might be able to do something with, but I haven't found any yet.
Cause I mean, everything's
It'd be
free and
cleaner.
clear, and we don't owe anything on the church or anything.
Yeah.
Just our property taxes, all we owe.
So just to clarify, if they wanted to build the house and they didn't, the split was for financing purposes, to be able to finance the house. Because we're having challenge finding a mortgage lender that would loan, because it's a unique piece of property with the church. But there may be somebody out there. So if there was, and they didn't need to split this for financing purposes, then all we would need to do is submit for a regular building permit and build the house then, right?
Mhm.
Already, yeah,
Okay,
that's the only reason we thought about splitting the property, you know what I mean, is for the financing.
Well, and if you need to do that, it sounds like the SB9 is the avenue to go to give you what you want,
What is that?
which is where you do the letter of intent, right? And it doesn't necessarily even, you can split it first or so that you'll do that with a letter of intent, so then you can secure your funding and build the house. That's the way I'm understanding. So,
if they do move forward with the parcel map route, what's the timing on that?
The main timing on that is going to be what it takes for your land surveyor or civil engineer to prepare and revise the map. Once that is submitted, the city will send it to its survey consultant to get checked for technical correctness. And it would still be approved by the parcel map committee, but there would be no public notice and no public hearing. And not only that, the parcel map committee is required by law to approve it if it meets the required standards, so.
If you proceed with the SB9 process.
If we do the SB9 process. If not, it's elongated by perhaps a handful of weeks, due to coordinating public noticing.
Okay, is the parcel map committee comprised of just staff members?
Which includes the zoning administrator, fire marshal,
City
city
engineer.
engineer, city planner.
They're all city staff.
City
Okay.
staff.
It'll be a similar process like project review committee.
Okay.
But it'll be a second component to the map.
Don't you guys usually just do it right after PRC on Wednesdays?
if we have
Keep
one of
it
those,
simple.
yeah, if we have one of those, it's just scheduled right after this, we'll just stick on.
Okay.
We're good for now. Building,
No comment.
no comments. Any comments, regarding to the parcel map, Javier?
I, this is gonna depend again, if this goes the SB9 route. If it does, then really only thing that we'd require are that each parcel have separate utilities, and we did just confirm that they are two separate accounts. So that's already in place. So the only other thing in question is that if it's the SB9 route, that'd be the extent of our requirements. If it's just a standard parcel map, we'd require some frontage improvements, which would just be an accessible path around the driveways.
What is the total? Site plan.
Oh, yeah,
331.
331.
331 is the total of both proposed parcels. Okay.
You said some frontage improvements required. Can you elaborate on that? It has curb gutter and sidewalk all the way to the property line already.
Right. So it'd just be, like addressing that, like that sunken curb and gutter, and then the path.
Just repairs, basically.
Yeah, and then the other one would be like paths around the driveways for an accessible,
Oh, on the church side of it.
right.
Okay.
Well, on each side, but like the residential and the church, but again, if it's the SB9 route, we couldn't require anything extra there. So I guess what's interesting is that we just do only have refuse accounts, so I'm not sure where water and sewers coming from.
Water, it's all, what do you call it? We have our own well, yeah,
And septic.
Private well.
on the
Oh,
church we do, on the church side. And when the home was, I mean, nobody's lived in that home before they demoed it for probably 6 years. 7 years. It's been vacant. So it ran from the church property to the home.
I see.
So yeah, we have our own
So
well.
now if they propose to split it, they'll have to connect to utilities on the house side when they build a new house.
That's the plan.
Unless,
Yeah, that's the plan.
unless they do SB9, in which case we can't require any improvements.
E- Even for utilities?
I don't know if we could require that they abandon the well. That's just another thing that we will need to,
Well, Jeff, but if the order of operations, right, if they do the SB9 lot split and then later on come in for a building permit,
yeah, so let's see.
because the way she's stating is that the water is being fed from the church side. Because it's all one property right now.
Well, there is a well on the other side.
So we have a well on both sides.
There is one on the other side, yes.
But you mentioned that it was feeding from
Well, because I guess something happened with that well and it was easier for my father-in-law at that time to hook into the church to go through the home, but there is a well. He just didn't want to invest the money in drilling a new well there. But there is a well there
There's an active well, it's just not being utilized unless
on the
5
other
or 6
side.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have some additional discussion with Public Works and
But when he does build the home there, he does plan on going through city for everything.
Right, because what I'm getting at and what's prompting this is that you can't service two parcels from one side. So,
Right.
if you do this,
You'd have to tap it. I mean, well, he doesn't want to hook up to anything to the church. He wants everything separate. Yeah, everything separate on his side.
So, yeah, even though we can't require it, it sounds like they intend to do it.
Yeah. He plans on hooking up into city.
okay. And there are sewer and water lines in the frontage, so
Yes, there is.
they'll just need tap into each.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is there, I missed the first part. Is there water in the street?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all.
Okay.
Yeah, water and sewer.
They're precluded from requiring provision, wait a second, before I talk more. Will not impose regulations that require dedications of rights of way or the construction of off-site improvements as a condition of the parcel map. So then the debate, I mean, I would assume installing a water service is not an off-site improvement.
And again, that's not a condition of the lot split, that's a condition of the construction permit.
I mean, that's a valid distinction. I don't know if that's the intention of the statute, but it is a valid distinction.
Because I would think we would then have to create some special understanding of all of the SB9 lot splits, because we couldn't apply any rules to them when they came into doing it. I don't think that was the intent.
Probably right. Okay, well, we'll find that stuff out and include it in the comment letter.
Oh, good, thank you. Any comments, from the water department?
No, I believe it's covered. If they do want a water service for that residential lot without a backflow device, we would probably have to be on site to verify that connection between the church and where it's fed from the well, there's like a 10-foot separation gap in the plumbing. to not have that backflow device included. That would be the only comments for water.
Thank you, David. That was all comments from staff related to the project presented today. Are there any additional questions from the applicant? Well, thank you. In regards to the comments for the project, you'll be receiving them in about 2 weeks' time frame from today's meeting, in which we'll gather each department's comments on the project and provide it in a letter. If you have any additional questions, just feel free to reach out to staff and we'll be able to answer your questions.
Copy me on
For sure.
that.
Thank you. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's meeting at 2:05 p.m. Thank you.
Cool.